Hey everyone, this is a clip from a recent episode of the Men of Steel podcast where we talk about Superman and Superman adjacent topics. If you enjoy this clip, check out the podcast. You can find it at certainpov.com or wherever you get your shows. He just doesn't quite look enough like Superman, but you know what the big thing is? He acts like Superman.
Yeah.
Like he behaves like Superman. The world treats him like Superman. He's not just some superhero. Everyone really loves him. And I think this movie does a really good job of setting up that this is a world where people have come to rely, respect, and enjoy the existence of Superman so that his death actually means something when it happens.
Yeah, especially the Henshaws.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hank Henshaw, who's usually a weak link to me as far as Superman villains.
Yeah.
I think they did a really kind of a little heavy-handed approach to it, especially when he's, the meteor's coming. He's like, well, Superman's going to save us. Superman's going to save us. It's like, all right.
He always saves us.
He's always saving.
You can always count on Superman.
And it's like, okay, you can dial it down a little bit, buddy. But yeah, and I think that's, again, one of the strengths of this movie is that it feels like a movie about a guy who's a pillar of the community. And they establish what communities he's a part of. The Justice League, the Daily Planet, his family, the streets of Metropolis. And they really make it so that, once you get rid of this guy, what happens? Everything falls apart. It's like the story of Baldur dying in Norse mythology. Once Baldur goes, it starts raining. Like the sun doesn't come up again because this guy was so beloved by everybody.
Yeah, and in both cases, they can't be killed. That can't be the way that they die. And then all of a sudden, oh no, that's a mistletoe arrow. And our invulnerable light being is dead.
Yep.
Oops.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh no, our slightly Jesus-y guy died.
Yeah, so it's interesting looking at this whole thing where, again, the main story is this fight with Doomsday. Mm-hmm. And so how do you keep that interesting? How do you space it out? When they did Superman Doomsday, the fight ends up being only the first third of the movie, maybe first half of the movie, and then it's all about the resurrection stuff,
mm-hmm.
which to be fair, this is a 2-part movie, the second part being the return of Superman, and in a certain sense, that is how this is split up, but it's spending the full time actually focusing on the rising stakes. We established a status quo at the beginning. We get criminals who are exactly the type of criminals I want in a Superman cold opening, because it's powered armor criminals who are, it's Mannheim, who is like a name but isn't like a big villain, so you don't feel like you're shortchanging that character. We're getting the appropriate amount of respect.
It's like Spider-Man fighting Hammerhead. You want to see the cold open of Spider-Man fighting Hammerhead, and Bruno Mannheim is Superman's Hammerhead. He's just a mafia guy who works for the devil, or Space Devil.
And it's perfect here because it's Intergang. They say it's Apocalypse tech, but it's also Lex Luthor tech, and those armors look like classic Lex Luthor armors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So here for all of that, it puts up not much of a fight against Superman, but that's the point. We see how conventional arms can't really handle these things, but Superman shows up, and we've got a bit of this Morrisonian style nod to the Golden Age, where he's a little bit more property damaging in his being super. He smacks them down really hard, and as a result causes some damage. But he doesn't clean it up himself, but he arranges it for it to be cleaned up.
Barry, you deal with it, nerd.
Which I loved that. The characterization on both Flash and Green Lantern I adored in this movie. They both had real personalities that felt good. I admit that Barry feels like Wally, but but that's just a common complaint at this point.
I think with this version of Barry, it's he is a bit funny, but they play up he's a hopeless nerd. So I'm like, okay, there's enough Barry there where it's not too much like Wally until he starts making fun of Bruce. Then it's
right. It's TV Barry.
Yeah, TV Barry.
Yeah. Which fine. That's what people know at this point. I'm not gonna get really that mad because he's perfect in the spot.
Yeah.
I just wish that under the mask he had red hair, but we don't even see it, so it doesn't even matter if you don't think too much about it. I mean, they call him Barry at one point, but not the point. Hal Jordan I thought was a lot of fun.
My headcanon for the DC League of Super Pets movie is that's Wally, because that guy's got freckles. So I totally get it.
But yeah, we get, a really solid Green Lantern when they're teasing Batman about having a parent-teacher conference. That I thought was just a really good moment there. It does speak to how compressed this timeline is, that Damien's a factor in everything.
Yeah.
I like the danger room type fight that Wonder Woman and Superman are in, and where they get to scold each other about using code names versus not code names.
Yeah.
That was like a good part of like sort of establishing what Superman feels like. He is very introspective in this all, like without us getting like a voiceover or thought balloons or something to that effect. Like, you know, he is really concerned about moving forward with Lois and talks about it a lot with the Leaguers, who want to talk about it as opposed to their annual budget stuff, because like this is the most like bureaucratic version of the Justice League you could imagine, in addition to everything else. I guess not the most, because they're not like clocking in, clocking out, or anything like that. But it did make me think of like Squadron Supreme, where there's like this pageantry to being part of this like special club. Remember, if you like the clip, after you're done liking and subscribing, check out certainpov.com, where you can find more episodes of the show, as well as a ton of other great shows.